Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Israel's escalating its bombardment of the Gaza Strip with at least 8 Palestinians killed overnight as the potential for a ground invasion looms. Palestinian health officials say nearly 100 people have been killed, up to half of them women and children, since Israel launched what it calls Operation Protective Edge in response to rockets fired by Hamas. On Thursday, hundreds of Gazans attended a funeral procession for the victims of an Israeli military strike that killed 8 members of a single family, including 5 children. No deaths have been reported on the Israeli side. Earlier today, a rocket from Gaza hit a gas station in southern Israel, injuring 1 person. 3 rockets were also fired at Israel from Lebanon, causing Israel to respond with artillery fire. We'll have more on Gaza later in the broadcast. Germany's ordered the top U.S. intelligence official in the country to leave amidst tensions over U.S. spying. Over the past several days, 2 German government workers have been accused of spying for the United States. The cases of renewed anger over leaks from Edward Snowden, which showed the U.S. was monitoring the communications of millions of Germans and tapping Chancellor Angela Merkel's cell phone. On Thursday, the German government announced it was expelling the CIA station chief in Berlin, citing both the recent allegations and, quote, months of unsolved questions around the activities of U.S. intelligence agencies in Germany. German Defense Minister Ursula von der Leyen said a move sends a message.
The German government has reacted and asked the U.S. intelligence service official responsible for Germany to leave the country. We thus made it clear that we do not tolerate this approach. But there's also a chance now, especially for the American side, to wipe the slate clean. I think the government has set the right example today and showed that it will not tolerate such a breach of confidence and that we need a reset.
Newly declassified documents show the Obama administration knew ahead of time about the British government's plan to force the Guardian newspaper to destroy hard drives containing documents leaked by Snowden. The Associated Press obtained records which show NSA officials called the planned destruction, quote, good news. The United Auto Workers have announced the formation of a local union at a Volkswagen plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which was the site of a major defeat for the union earlier this year. In February, workers at the Chattanooga plant voted against joining the UAW following intense opposition from Republican lawmakers, including threats the plant might miss out on financial incentives for planned expansion if the union won. UAW officials now say, following talks with Volkswagen, they are confident the company will recognize the local union if a meaningful portion of workers sign up. The electronics company Samsung is under fire over reports of child labor in its supply chain. The New York Times spoke to 3 teenage girls who work at a plant in China that makes cell phone parts for Samsung. The 3 workers were 14 and 15 years old. In Detroit, Michigan, at least 8 people were arrested Thursday in an act of civil disobedience to stop the city's shutoff of water to thousands of households. The group of clergy members and other residents blocked the entrance of a private corporation hired by Detroit to cut off the taps of residents who've fallen behind on their water bills by as little as 2 months. A UN panel has called the shutoffs a violation of the human right to water. D'Amico Williams, coordinator of the Detroit Water Brigade, spoke to the Detroit Free Press at Thursday's protest.
A statement that the shutoffs must end, and we are also making a commitment to fight for Detroit.
One of the activists at the forefront of the fighting for fighting the water shutoffs in Detroit was Charity Hicks, an environmental and food justice organizer. In May, Hicks was left in a coma after being struck by a car in New York City. She died on Tuesday. In North Dakota, more than 1 million gallons of salt water from oil drilling operations has leaked from a pipeline on a Native American reservation covering nearly 2 miles. Salt water is a byproduct of oil and gas drilling. The leak by Crestwood Midstream Services has killed vegetation and may have reached a bay connected to a drinking water source for the Fort Berthold Reservation. It could take weeks to clean up. The actress Laverne Cox of the hit TV series Orange is the New Black has made history, becoming the first transgender person nominated for an Emmy Award. Cox was nominated for Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series. To see our two-part interview with Laverne Cox from February, you can go to democracynow.org. And in upstate New York, a peace activist and grandmother has been sentenced to a year in prison for her role in a peaceful protest at a base where U.S. drones are piloted remotely. Marianne Grady Flores had been issued an order of protection aimed at keeping her away from Hancock Field Air National Guard Base after she participated in an act of civil disobedience there in 2012. Last year, Grady Flores says she attended another peace action but did not participate, instead photographing it from the roadway beyond what she believed was the base's boundary. She was later told the base's property extended into the road. On Thursday, Judge David Gideon of the DeWitt Town Court sentenced her to the maximum year in prison for violating the protection order and fined her $1,000. In a courtroom packed with about 150 supporters, Grady Flores spoke about what she called the 4 perversions of justice in her case.
The 4th perversion is the reversal of who is the real victim here. The commander of a military base involved in killing innocent people halfway around the world, or those innocent people themselves who are the real ones in need of orders of protection. So I, as a nonviolent grandmother and a caregiver for my own mother, as I prepare for jail, itself a perversion, I stand before you remorseful. I'm remorseful about my own country and its continued perpetuating of violence and injustice.
Marianne Grady Flores was taken into custody following the sentencing. She's appealing the verdict. Earlier in the day, her supporters marched 6 miles from the drone base to the courtroom, carrying a coffin bearing the words, First Amendment. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.
And I'm Juan Gonzalez. Welcome to all of our listeners and viewers around the country and around the world.